right. We're recording or we're chatting about All's Quiet on the Western Front. We all have different covers. That's cool. Mine's a signed copy.
Mine is not.
I'm just kidding. This is what I got for my signed copy. It's like literally like a high school version that someone signed. So thank you, Emmy, for giving me this book and making me pay double the price for it. The signed copy. I have not read this book yet, but you two have, and we're gonna do spoilers anyways because I'll probably forget everything by the time I have a chance to read it.
Also, if you don't know how World War I ends, then
please revisit that first.
We're not going to spoil World War I for you. You should already know.
Exactly. So what is this book about? I'm guessing World War II, but is it like it's a
No, it's World War I.
Oh, it is. Is this a fiction read or nonfiction?
Yeah, so this is a fiction book, but it's based on like true events. It's essentially like trench warfare, what it was like fighting on like the front lines during World War I. And it's a group of like these German soldiers, boys really, who are like in the trenches together. And while it's fiction, the guy who wrote it actually fought in the trenches in World War I. So it all draws on like his experience, and he knows what it was really like.
That's cool. So it has like elements of like his actual experience woven into the story. It's actually like I thought it was kind of a long book, but it's only 285 pages. Do you feel like this took you a long time to read, or like was it hard to get through?
I don't think it was hard to get through for me.
I feel like the only thing with me is like I couldn't like put it down and like pick it up and read 2 chapters and put it down. Like it took some for me to get into just because it was so heavy, like depressing. Like I had to sit down and I'd read like 6 chapters at a time.
Did you
keep like going back quickly?
Did you feel like you got sucked into this book? Like probably not the same as like A Court of Thorns and Roses, but did you feel like you wanted to see what kept happening?
Yes, I did. But like the overall tone of the book is very sad and depressing. It's really trench warfare is awful. Just it really, I think the point of the book, right, is highlighting that like war isn't this glory like war hero propaganda type stuff you see in the like movies. Like granted they didn't like really do movies back then, but it's not something to be like glorified. Like it's awful and it's gross and it's dirty and it's painful and it's gory and it's awful. That was my takeaway. I don't know what you thought, Andrea.
The part where he's like, so he has like friends in his like regiment. He's carrying one of his friends and he doesn't know that the guy is dead. Like the guy gets shot while he's carrying him. And then when he gets there, another guy's like, yeah, he's dead. I was like, oh my God, it was like his closest friend in the war. I was like, oh my God, that part was so sad. But yeah, and like they're really dirty too. Like there's no like hygiene in the war. Like
yeah, there's mud everywhere.
Lice. Yeah, they have lice but yeah, it sounds miserable.
I think what was really interesting to me was in the middle of or towards the end of the book, maybe the middle of the book, he goes, oh, we're not doing spoilers.
Yeah, we are.
Oh, we are. Okay. So at some point,
it just said his best friend died.
Yeah. I guess it's not really a spoiler, but like at some point he gets to leave and he gets to go home for like a week, right? And like see his family and like do stuff. And while he's there, these like old men or these men that aren't in the war, like are in the bars and stuff, like he buying him drinks and saying like, we're gonna whip those French any day now, like good job, and like making war seem like not a big deal. And meanwhile he's like feels awful that he's home, but is like terrified to go back to the front and is like can't deal with this and can't talk about like the war with people who like don't understand. And it was like it was very interesting to see how different it was between like what his life was like in the front and what people were saying back home and how he tried to deal with it all.
I didn't even realize that they got leave during World War One. So did he volunteer or was he drafted? Did it say?
I think he
Volunteered.
So this is the other thing, like his teacher convinced all the boys, they're like 18, 19. The teacher convinced all the boys in his classroom that this is the right thing to do and they should all go volunteer. And then the teacher doesn't volunteer. And so all these 18-year-old boys from the class are just like dying because their teacher convinced them to do this thing.
Oh my gosh.
They would have been drafted probably anyway, right? But still, it's shitty.
Dang, this seems like a tough book.
I thought it was interesting though, like an interesting read.
What did you rate it, Anne?
I rated it a B plus.
Okay, so you wouldn't read it again, but you'd probably recommend it?
I would definitely recommend it. I thought it was good for a war book. I mean, it's real. Like, they're not like sugarcoating anything, I will say. But yeah, I mean, as far as a war book, it was well written too. That his writing style was good. It's just, I mean, the story is kind of depressing.
A tough subject.
War. Yeah.
Liz, what about you?
Trying to look it up.
Look up your rating. Do you write it in the book?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I gave it an A.
A solid A. Wow. You guys differed. Ooh, this
What? By half a grade. I
Mhm.
wouldn't read it again, but I did think it was like an important read, and I would recommend it again. I would recommend it to people. Like I think it's important to read to see what it's like, how awful it is. It's not like a Brad Pitt war movie.
Yeah.
It's not real life.
I really like the aspect that the author, I mean, I don't like that he was in the war, but like that he probably incorporated his real life experiences in there. It makes it seem more plausible or like firsthand account.
Mm-hmm. But there's a character in here named Dieter something. What's his name, Andrea? Do you remember? Dieter. It's something like Dieter. And they talk about where he's from, and he's from like the same region, like small region that the Dieters, our family's from.
Really? In Germany or?
Yeah.
Cool. Where does most of this book take place? I know it's the Western Front, but is it like
Germany and France?
Germany, France. Dang. Okay.
Andrea, what did you think? Did you think it was really depressing too, or do you think it was like a normal war book? I thought it was more depressing than other war books. What did you think?
I mean, as far as war books go, I thought it was pretty good. I read like Sharp's Havoc, and that's just as depressing and gory. So I don't know. I don't read a whole lot of war books though.
What Sharps? I have one of the Sharps books, but I don't. Do they have to go in order? Because I feel like I didn't get the first one.
No, I think they're just about his campaigns throughout. So the guy Sharp, and then he fights in different wars. So I think each book is about a different. I mean, you can probably read them in order. I've only read one of them though. So
I haven't heard of those.
I randomly saw it like on an Amazon list and I got it. Mine is Sharp's Tiger, but I don't know what it's about.
Corey had ours, and I just randomly read it one day.
One day.
Well, not like in one day, but one day I was like, oh, I'm gonna read this.
Scott recommended me one. I'm trying to find the name of it. I don't think I've read any war books ever.
I've read a lot of Revolutionary War books. But
yeah, we read a lot of World War II books, Madeline, in book club.
That's true. I guess more ones like this that don't have like romance in them.
No romance in this one.
No.
I'm trying to find this one, but anyways, he said it was really good. But it's about a guy who was in a tank during World War II, I think. I'm gonna find this. I'll shut it out. Oh, here it is. It's called Spearhead. of the Fifth Army. Scott says it's really good. That's what it looks like.
That sounds good.
Not heard that.
Kind of reminds me of this one. John, I think, has read Spearhead, but
Okay.
I don't know.
Tank warfare is very interesting. It also scares me to be stuck inside a metal tin can that someone's firing at. I think that's terrifying. Granted, it's not tin can. That was before, but
Or you play like Call of Duty and you can run up and throw a grenade in the tank and run away.
sticky grenades
Terrifying.
on the outside. Yeah.
Oh man. Okay.
Well, guys, this ended on a real positive, upbeat note. So glad we did this.
All's quiet on the Western Front. There you go. It is kind of sad, but it is an important read, apparently.